Well, what is agriculture tourism at Footprint Farm?
So agriculture tourism here at Footprint Farms might be different than any other agritourism you might think of. First of all, agritourism is tourism, but it's in agriculture. So everything we're going to talk about in agritourism is around nature.
Okay.
And the whole tourism side of it. We're going to talk about the earth, of course, the soil, but we're also going to talk about everything that the earth and the soil and the air produces. We're going to talk about and have you visit the bees, which is part of nature for pollination. That's part of agritourism, letting you see something different that you usually don't see. But when you're doing tours, there's a lot of different things you get to see. If you're in New York, you can look at the skyscrapers, you can go to the subway system, you can look at the people in the great restaurants. Well, in agritourism, we're going to do the same, but in agriculture. We're going to show you the beautiful lakes that we have here and how the fish is important and the clean water. We're going to show you how you can take photos with the flowers and the trees and let that be a part of what your day is, and to enjoy it, but also to understand nature more. So here at Footprint Farms, we also have Anime's Cottage, which is our first Airbnb. We have people coming in from Germany, from Europe, from Africa. We also have a lot of bikers to come. The bikers like to come. These are just bicycles, and they're able to ride. You can bring your family, so you know you're safe riding around inside to see some of nature. And we also have walking trails that we have in place, so you can actually walk and see. So this is all a beautiful part of it. We've had a lot of riders come to the farm just to write for the relaxation side. We had a lot to come who said, we're not going to write, we're just going to rock in a chair and do that. But you can also eat from the farm while you're here. So a lot of different things you can do is a big part of your destination. So we make it an adventure, coming in to see a lot of the things. And of course, we have animals on the farm. Right now, we still have goats. Our horses, we have horses too, and we have two that's actually out being trained right now, because we like people to be able to come up and we can call them and they can just come to you, so you can actually have that experience of touching a horse. We're considered a natural grown farm. Okay. We have an integrated pest management system that was developed by our plant scientists with Mississippi State and with Alcorn State University knowledge of what we do. We believe in utilizing practices here on the farm. For instance, when you go up and you're going to see a lot of plastic in the field. Well, it's not plastic, it's called mulch. And this mulch is done so when you see the mulch and you see the rows and everything, it's the drip irrigation of water. It's under this plastic, which is mulch on top. And we plant inside of the plastic so that we won't have to use chemicals because the plastic smothers the grass. So when we're planting in the plastic in different holes that's there. So the only thing that's coming up that's growing is the plant itself. But the irrigation, the water is under to the root. The whole part about planting, people don't have to water their leaves. The leaves don't need to water. The roots need to water, because the water comes up from the roots to the leaves and to the stalk. So by doing that, we're also doing a conservational practice. We're using less water, which helps financially as well. But it's also the quality, it's helping the quality of the plant that you grow. This is new. This is about fall. We started this doing the practices of writing this up. We're actually doing a white paper for this. This is all water based. Everything's water.
So the little patch that's growing in there, how is that, like a little plug that you put in there?
Actually, no. We actually did our seed in what's called rock wool.
Okay.
So this is rock wool.
And that's how you germinated it.
That's how I germinated it in water.
Nice.
And we did so germinated in that. That's the host. So it's actually holding everything in place. Cool. And in that way, of course, this one, everything's self-contained, water-based, and nutrients in here. It has a pump.
So how do you refill it?
Let me show you. And these are so cool. Everything's on rollers. So look. Water.
Nice.
Nothing water and nutrients that's with it. Nutrients come with this system. So we check the pH every once a week. Just regular tap water, but we check the pH. And if it's too high, we use an acid to bring it down with. And we have a chart. This is science of it. check the chart of it to see where it is, if it needs to go up or down. And of course, health is another big part of this. Being able to have the fresh air, to walk around. See, health is just not physical, it's also mental.
Right.
We also got to look at that. How do you get your mental state back in order? A lot of times just getting out and being around nature helps your mind to think. Because so many things go on, even from a death of a loved one,
Right.
or coming in just for a lot of people who just need to get away and not be by yourself, but to get away and be around yourself.
Right, yeah, big part.
And our health for Mississippians, especially for people of color, for Black people, we have the highest mortality rate of diabetes and hypertension and heart disease because we don't have access to the type of food, healthy food that we need in order to build our temples or our bodies. Because we can't get it, we can't afford it, or it's not in our neighborhoods. I mean, right now, this was considered a food desert where we're sitting right now, before it became a farm.
Right.
It's not a food desert anymore. Because people right in the community can come here to buy their food and to eat healthy foods. I'm not against commercial foods. I mean, we have to have it, but it should not be our everyday diet.
Right.
We should not be continuing the cycle of killing ourselves and our babies being born, or they're diabetic number 1 or number 2. I mean, I went in schools and I see babies in the first grade, they got to stop and take an insulin shot. Oh no, they got to have their finger pricked to see what their sugar level is. Something is wrong with that.
Big time.
So we have to do something different. We got to do better for ourselves and for this next generation to come. But we're certified here at Footprint Farm to be able to take any currency. We can take the SNAP card. You can, just like you get in the grocery store, you can buy it here. We're certified by the state of Mississippi to take the vouchers, the WIC vouchers, the senior vouchers. You can do it here. So we try to do everything possible to make sure that what you have is enough.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Farm to School and how you got into that.
The importance of raising your own food and getting healthier food, nutritious food into our cafeterias, which is our bottom line for our children, which is so important because for a lot of our students and our scholars, this is the only good meal they get, nutritious meal we can give them. And some, unfortunately, they might not get it again to the next day. They might get some fillers, but not truly food. So when they start talking healthier, taking out more fried, putting in more baking, looking at a different way of cooking and preparing it, I was all for that. A lot of times we think agriculture is just working in the fields. We think it's just putting that seed in the soil, but it's so much more than that.
So these are high tunnels. These structures that are in there are called high tunnels. They're a system of a greenhouse. But if you look, there's no heaters, there's no cooling system, there's no hard floor, and the crops are growing in the ground. We open and close the sides of the tunnel and the doors on the ends of the tunnel to heat it or cool it. On a hot day, we want the tunnel open and we want the breeze blowing through it. When it gets below 50 degrees outside, we're going to close the tunnel and try and keep it up more close to the optimal for the crop that's in here. And that's it. Each of these flowers will be a tomato, and you can see hundreds and hundreds of flowers in here. Right now, this is a really good looking crop of tomatoes.
Agriculture is the second largest budget item in America next to the Department of Defense. Let me tell you that again. When you look at where the majority of our tax dollar goes, the first one is the Department of Defense, our Defense of America. The second is United States Department of Agriculture.
Wow.
Should that tell you everything that it does and everything about that? It's a career opportunity in every area. You can be a plant scientist, you can be a researcher, you can be an inspector, you can be a policy maker, you can be implementing a policy, and you can be a farmer as well. You can be so many different types, and not just farming or putting the seeds in the soil, but also seeds in the water, which is another way to look at what are we going to do and how we're going to continue to feed healthy food to people. How are we going to be able to bring that food for availability when you got to give the earth a rest? What are we going to do? It's that we still have these other great elements that we have not explored enough of, and that's water-based growing. you know, agriculture in water base. You know, not just from aquaponics to hydroponics to aeroponics. And this is dealing just with water, just plain old water, and some nutrients, just like the soil have to have nutrients. So does the water with nutrients in order for it to grow.
As a lady farmer, how does that differ for you in contrary to the male farmers that you meet?
Well, you know, I know a lot of farmers, and most of them are men. A lot of now, more female and more women are getting into agriculture in a big way. But my whole part about being a woman and being in agriculture, it's a challenge. And again, you being a young man of 28, Black man at that, that's not many who want to get into agriculture and farming, because they still teach us, or they want us to think that farming is slavery. They want us to think that it's so hard work you don't want to do it. They want us to think that you can't do it because you haven't done it, and we're, you know, so many generations separated from the earth. But at the same time, they don't tell you the other side of it. Again, the second largest budget in America is what? Agriculture. So there's also careers that we don't even know, or there's different degrees that you can actually major in college or community college to go straight into into agriculture. And there's so many possibilities for growth because so many people are aging out, and there's no one in the hopper to take those positions. And technology is another great thing. You know, ag is a big part of technology. The more you know, he says, well, and I'm not interested in ag, I like drones. Well, guess what? Drones now is a big part of agriculture. You know, using the drones to fly to go look at your crops without leaving your house. Oh, come on, that turns me on. Just go out and just think about it.
It's actually really cool plant science. This was planted just before Christmas last year. Just about the 20th of December, this was planted in here. And because it was planted then, that's what's called the winter solstice. That's the shortest day of the year, right?
It is.
So the trigger for this plant to go to seeds is the introduction of short days. Well, this actually never saw that because it wasn't planted until the actual short days were over and the days were getting longer. So it won't have its biological trigger to go to seed until this December. And then it won't go to seed until March-ish. So we have another 5 months to pick on this thing. It's actually really cool.
We love our acreage. We love farming in the soil, but we're also looking at, and we're researching, and we're writing about, you know, how do you do more water-based growing? How are we able to do something that makes sense financially, that anyone can participate and do it? You know, again, you don't have to have a lot of land, because a lot of people won't have land. But if you want to grow some things yourself, a lot of people don't have yards. A lot of people live in apartments. A lot of people, you know, can't put things out because of animals that are outside. But there's no reason why you can't put it in the corner of your bedroom or your living room or your kitchen and still grow healthy foods for yourself. And that's a part we want to get more information out about. I believe we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, the equal opportunity should be there. And it has not been. And it's still not. So we still have to do things to change it. But we have to do things to change it. We can't wait for someone else to do it. So if that means growing in your coffee can, then grow in your coffee can. If that means looking at how to do things a little differently, just take a step. Because nothing's going to change unless you start the process.